you start.
Hi guys, welcome back to the final round, round 8 of the Prague Special Championships. It's been an absolutely fantastic day. We have seen Zoroark and Buzzwole sweep up for another tournament straight. We are here to bring you one final round though, where we've got a win-and-in match against Patrik and Filipp. Both players playing pretty much Zoroark and Buzzwole again. However, we've got a really interesting Buzzwole list with a Fates Collide Mew in there.
It's very straightforward, I can tell you guys.
And then we have the Zoroark Weavile deck that we had earlier on today on the stream from Adam Hawkins. It looks to be a very good matchup where we might see someone come on top and end up in the top 8.
Yeah, we are going to see a win-and-in now, so if neither of these players, if this game is not ending in a tie, it's pretty sure that the winner is going to make it to day 2.
I mean, obviously, cutting straight to top 8 already makes the cut a lot harder, so both players will be extremely happy to get that last win in and obviously take themselves all the way.
Yeah, of course.
Filipp obviously starts straight up with Zoroark. He's got to hope that he gets a bench Pokemon next turn, because that Buzzwole's looking ready to take a donk if it wants to.
As we mentioned before, Patrik's list is very, very straightforward. He plays 4 Buzzwole, 2 Mew from Fates Collide, which can copy attacks, 3 Tapu Lele and 1 Oranguru, and that's it with his Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it takes sort of a different approach. It makes the deck very streamlined, and obviously just getting as many big hits from Knuckle Impact and Absorption is just the main goal here, which actually might be a bit better against these Zoroark decks, as he's able to just power through them and take prizes really quickly.
Yeah, it seems to be a really controversial. He also plays Scorched Earth to draw more cards, which makes him a bit more resistant against late game ends. Yeah, very interesting approach.
I think the most interesting part of Patrik's list here is that he plays 3 Skylar.
Yeah,
That's a really high Skylar count. You only really see something as high as that in a deck that sometimes plays stage 2s, such as Vikabulu. He also plays 4 Puzzle at a time without Zoroark. Obviously, those Skylars allowing him to hit those slightly easier, but
17 fighting energies and 3 strong energies.
Yeah, this deck is very much designed to get the energy on board and take those knockouts. Very streamlined indeed, especially with those Skylars being able to grab exactly what he wants out of the deck.
Yeah, he can go for the max elixirs, recycle the max elixirs back, and wow. Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think with it as well, it all depends on whether Filipp can gauge how to play this matchup.
Yeah.
Obviously, this isn't a deck he would have encountered very often before, if not at all. So it'll be interesting to see whether he knows how to play this matchup first game, or if he does end up losing this first game, learning how to adapt to the matchup, and then seeing if he can play it slightly better in game 2.
But it's a tough matchup. If we look at his deck list, he's playing a 2-2 Zoroark GX line, playing 1 stand-in Zoroark, 2-1 Weavile line, and Tapu Lele, 1 Mew, 1 Tapu Koko, and 1 Sudowoodo. So I'm not really sure what the best counter is. Probably the Mew, but well, Patrik is playing 2 of his Mew and then can hit Mew X for weakness.
Yeah, I think obviously the Fates Collide Mew really does put pressure on Filipp to not leave that Mew EX in the active. As well as that, a lot of Filipp's Pokemon are Dark type, which obviously isn't very good while going up against the Buzzwole. That Jet Punch can easily be turned into one-shot damage with the strong energy on there and choice bands, so without even having to Knuckle Impact, Patrik can take some pretty easy prizes here.
Yes, he can. And we also see Scorched Earth is already
and
in
the
play.
double puzzle already.
Wow.
Looking through his discard pile, I would imagine that he wants to be going here for the Elixir. I would imagine he wants to start powering up his Pokemon on the bench slightly more. It doesn't look like there's too much else in there, so he does grab the Elixir, and perhaps the extra fighting or strong energy to put on the active Pokemon. leveling out his board, but he does grab. Yeah, he grabs the energy. So I imagine that'll be attached straight to the front onto the active Pokemon, and then of course the elixir onto the bench, evening out his board, making there no obvious Guzma target for Filipp if he does want to take a one-shot.
Yeah. And I imagine his ratio of hitting the max elixirs is very high looking at his energy count.
I imagine with 17, I think that's the most energy I've seen in a long time in a deck. Even these Volcanion and Ho-Oh decks that tend to play, 14 to 15. I think we saw Stephanie play 17 at Melmo, but that's the most I've seen in a long time.
I played a League Cup last weekend, and Filipp gave me a Ho-Oh Kiavi list, and I also had 17 fire energies in there. But Patrik is playing strong energies as well, so yeah.
It's an obscene energy count, but it does mean that those elixirs, as we said, this deck's full goal is just to get as much energy on board as possible. So it makes sense that when he's not playing perhaps as many Pokemon, and it seems that his trainer count has sort of been sliced down, it makes sense to replace that with energy, so he's able to hit those as often as possible. And then your elixirs almost become a guaranteed hit, rather than it becoming a game of chance.
Yeah, and I can imagine that this is also very good. We mentioned a few times before that the current meta game is a meta game where it's very likely you end up in a tie, but with such a rather fast and straightforward deck, I think it's quite comfortable to play because you probably have fast rounds. You end up having early wins or maybe also early losses.
So the Mew does come active. As we said, that's probably going to be Filipp's main out. He doesn't have any energy on his Mew right now, which means that he probably can't return the knockout this turn, taking out that Mew EX, unless there is some serious elixir play. However, there are no energy switches here, so we're probably not going to be able to see that. So the Mew EX is actually in a really powerful spot here, also being able to knock out that Buzzwole with a Guzma next turn, as he can just bounce straight off that Tapu Koko and knock it out.
He could use energy and choice band, which would, with the weakness, be exactly 120 damage with
of course
impact.
It will, yeah.
And that's what we are going to see here.
Mew has 120. Well, everything I just said was pointless, so there we go. I can't read numbers, apparently.
It's no problem. I'm helping with math.
So we do see the Fates Collide Mew take the knockout. That sort of puts Filipp now on the back foot, as he now needs to sort of find a way to get that Mew back into play in order to take some easy knockouts. We've mentioned it several times today. These Zoroark decks are not fans of taking one-hit knockouts. So it is a case where Patrik can very easily start to take prizes every single turn, whereas Filipp still does have to take those 2 shots.
Yeah, it looks like Patrik did a really good meta call. He just expected a lot of Zoroark being played, and he built a very hard counter, and it turned out to work very good for him.
Yeah, I think he was saying that one of his losses was against Gardevoir earlier in the day.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. Again, with the high energy count on all of his Buzzwoles, that makes it quite difficult for him to avoid the high damage output from Gardevoir. I don't know his other loss, but I imagine that most of the Zoroark matches he's played, he's had a pretty easy time against.
Yeah. And I imagine it also being quite comfortable to have like early wins, so you have some time to refresh in between rounds, and well, even if it may sound a bit strange, but playing a deck for a whole day where you have a lot of options and need to do a lot of decisions, it's really exhausting. And if you then don't have time in between rounds, it's really hard to stay concentrated and focused. And well, I think that's also something you should keep in mind when choosing your deck for such a, well, big tournament.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You often see that players, when they play a deck where there's lots of tiny decisions that make a big difference, you'll see that towards the end of the day they start to look very tired and very worn out.
Yeah. So it's Patrik's turn again. He is benching the second Mew, playing a Guzma and putting Mew in the active position. But I'm not quite sure, but I think Mew has no retreat cost. Yeah, it has no retreat cost. So there's another KO, and wow, Patrik is just rushing through this match.
Yeah, as we said, this deck is very high tempo. Oftentimes these decks can be very popular. We've seen it with Ho-Oh-Kiawe, we've seen it with Volcanion, to where if you do hit your stuff early in the game, you pull so far ahead that your opponent can't actually catch up with you. And especially when you're weak to the deck as well, it's going to give you a very tough time.
Yeah, definitely. And now Patrik only needs to draw one more prize card to win the first game. And oh my god, he's only 10 minutes in round.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I don't think we've had anything this high tempo all day. We've seen a lot of really grueling matches where, you know, game one has gone all the way down to 20 minutes left in the round. So it's really cool to see something take a deck out this quickly.
Yeah, it's something completely different from what we've seen all day long, and it's really nice to have that. But now it's Filipp's turn again. He also plays double Puzzle of Time. I'm not so sure about what you really want to get back. Mew, of course, is a good counter in this matchup, but well, Patrik's Mew is already on the bench, and we have just seen how easily Patrik could just KO the Mew X, and it's just a very bad price trade. So I'm not so happy with Filipp's decision here to get back Mew with Puzzle.
Yeah, I think that obviously we saw the Fates Collide Mew simply need one energy and a choice band to knock out Philip's Mew EX. The Mew is already on Patrik's bench, ready to go. He has a pretty big hand size, and all he needs out of that is one of his 17 energies, which is quite likely, and then one of his 4 choice bands.
And he also plays Scorched Earth and Oranguru, so even so he does not have the card in his hand, he could draw it with a Stadium card, with a Supporter card, or with Oranguru's ability. And there is the energy. We see him discarding some cards. He may be going for another Pokemon, then using Oranguru. Maybe he's going for a Tapu Lele, grabbing himself a Supporter.
I would say that's the most probable. He's going for the Skylar.
Oh, yeah.
Grabbing that puzzle, as we said, I'm sure he's got a puzzle in hand, meaning that he's able to get that choice band out of the discard and take that last prize. And that is game one, with only 12 minutes gone. Wow, it's really, really cool just to see how high tempo that was. Patrik didn't make any sort of insanely fantastic plays there.
No.
His deck is just so straightforward. It has one goal and one goal only, and that's to get energy on board and take knockouts. And so his deck worked out, he hit those elixirs, and it was just too much for Filipp to be able to handle.
I really don't know how Filipp should deal with that kind of deck, because, well, the natural counter to Buzzwole is Mew X, but Patrik just found a really good answer to that. And well, I don't really like playing with Mew X in that matchup because it can get KO'd so easily, and the price trade is just very bad.
Yeah, I think we can see a Sudowoodo in his list and a counter energy. Perhaps that's probably his best answer, being able to Knuckle Impact back or Absorption GX back to take a sort of off-guard knockout. But even then, once he's done that, counter energy will no longer be active more often than not. So that's really only 2 prizes. As we said at the start of the game, Filipp's list is predominantly dark types, and so it's really hard for him to find an out. Mew, as you said, very obvious counter to Buzzwole, but not when it can simply be knocked out by Mew. It almost seems that this deck is perfectly designed to destroy Zoroark Weavile.
It is.
With the Mews there ready to take a knockout on anything that could combat the Buzzwoles, and then obviously, of course, the Buzzwoles ready to sweep through the Zoroark and Zoroark.
Yeah, and I imagine it to be very hard. You played 7 rounds, you're still on the right track, and you are so close to getting into top 8, and then you just face your worst enemy.
Essentially, yeah. I guess it's always upsetting, but it's the way of the game, you know. Everyone has access to the same 60 cards, and perhaps if Filipp didn't play this deck in the last round of today, he could have played it in the first or second.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's a case of, you know, it's slightly unlucky, but Filipp can still be happy here. He's gone 4-0-3. He's currently unbeaten until the last round of today, so he's done a really good job up until now.
Yeah. Okay.
And he mulligans. Oh, both players mulligan actually. Both going in. No one actually gets a extra card in this situation due to both players mulliganing. That means that they both just reshuffle, draw a new hand, and off they go.
Yeah, it's also when I played Leipzig regionals earlier this year. That's something a new player asked me if he was playing next to me, and both of them had a mulligan, and they were not sure if both of them take an additional card or neither of them. So if you're new to the game, neither of the players is allowed to take an extra card.
And another mulligan on Patrik's side of the field. That's not too surprising. Obviously, he does play a lot of basics, but there still aren't that many of them in his deck.
Yeah, that's true.
Compared to things like energy, which we saw an abundance of in that hand there. So I don't think it's too much for him to worry about for mulliganing. He's probably very used to it by now.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah. Filipp he already has a dice to count the amounts of mulligans. It's one mulligan so far. Looks like he's discussing with the judge. Oh, because he drew the mulligan already, and according to the rules, you need to wait until your opponent has a basic Pokemon, and then you decide how many mulligans you want to draw. So you're not allowed to draw them one after another.
Yeah, I think the judges just simply highlighted that to him. I don't think there's going to be any harsh punishment for that or anything.
I'm not so sure because it's a bigger tournament and it's in one of the later rounds. But yeah, we'll have to see.
And we do see both players have prized one puzzle each.
Yeah. And if Filipp is drawing the prizes according to the according to what we tell or what we ask the players to draw, this puzzle is going to be one of his last prizes. We see Filipp starting with a Sneasel. Weavile is a card you do not really want to use in this matchup. You have Mew, it has abilities. You have Oranguru, it has abilities. You have Tapu Lele, which has abilities. But last round, Patrik had 3 Buzzwoles on his bench, so that means there are only 3 Pokemon with abilities in game.
I think with it as well, it's a very similar story to Mew. Weavile at some point in this game, if Patrik does have to bench perhaps 2 Lele or 2 Mew, Weavile then becomes quite strong. It could output, 100, 150 damage. However, it's just simply knocked out very easily by Patrik.
But it could potentially be an answer to Mew. You could KO a Mew with it and then only have a 1 prize card attacker. So your prize exchange wouldn't be too bad. But to be honest, I can't really see Filipp winning this game.
Yeah, it is upsetting for him because it's not really a case of there is a way for him to do it that's unlikely. It almost seems that there really isn't an out for him here. However, Patrik is not hit much here. He has got the Ultra Ball though now.
Yeah, but he also has a Max Elixir in his hand. I'm fairly sure he will hit it because his energy count is just so high. So he has a pretty good first turn with 2 Buzzwoles already having 1 energy in case he hits the Elixir. So yeah, Filipp looking at the Buzzwole just to make very sure he knows what it does.
just to hope that it's a misprint that says it doesn't do fighting damage to his Pokemon, but unfortunately that's not going to change anything.
Yeah, it looks like he hit the Max Elixir, so
no surprise at all. There's still, even after the Ultra Ball and attaching to the active Buzzwole, there was still a full 14 energy in deck. Oh no, and -2 in the prizes, so 12 in deck.
He already also has some in his hand, but yeah, a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. And we actually, that Sneasel having 70 HP is actually quite interesting here. It means that Patrik isn't actually able to knock it out. I'm sure he would have much preferred Zoroark in the active right there. It survives at 60, and we might see plenty of Zoroark GX come down this turn, but as well as that, we might see some healing cards come out as well. Simply because those jet punches create some awkward maths on Filipp's side, to where he's going to have to try and hide behind some things to make sure that there aren't easy knockouts taken.
We see the first Zoroark coming into play, and a Mallow. So, for what kind of cards would you go now?
I think that you definitely want to get another Zoroark GX in play. I would imagine he wants to go for that. Again, though, there's no way that I can see that Filipp really turns this game in his direction. Unfortunately, we can see that Patrik has 2 Buzzwole on board already. Perhaps he goes for the Mew, but his bench is full. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, but he's just discarded a fighting energy.
Oh, that's interesting, but he is playing fighting energy.
He's playing one fighting energy.
In his deck list, probably because of Sudowoodo. So,
okay, so he just trickstered. That's actually...
So even if he is not behind in prices, he can use Watch and Learn.
Yeah, I didn't notice that last game, but the one fighting energy, that's really spicy. That's actually quite a interesting pick there.
Yeah, unique.
And the Skylar Finesse Ball, getting down that Oranguru, allowing Patrik to get those extra 3 cards a turn if he needs to. But that Trickster GX there really coming in clutch. Obviously being able to knock out that Buzzwole. The return knockout here for Patrik is very unlikely by the looks of things. As we said, he doesn't play any sort of energy switch, so even an Elixir here doesn't really make much of a difference. And he Scorched Earths, and he's hit 2 Guzma in hand. It's
and Choice Band.
And he does knock out that Sneasel there, drawing a fighting energy, which is probably a card he doesn't really need off the prizes.
It looks like they miscalculated the damage. They forgot the Choice Band. No, they just forgot 40 damage.
And see, even though Filipp took 2 prizes and technically is in a better winning position right now, his board just doesn't look great, unfortunately. Even with a Zoroark GX on the field now, it's still weak to Buzzwole, and the Mew does come down. He needs to hit that DCE, otherwise...
But in this position, it's not, or in this current game state, it's not that bad to try to attack with Mew.
It's scoop. Yeah, as I was about to say, yeah. If Mew hit the board then with a DCE, it really put Patrik behind there. He just had an Oranguru out. We really saw there the disadvantage of not actually running Brooklet Hill. A lot of these Buzzwole decks do run Brooklet Hill, allowing them to get those Buzzwoles onto the field more consistently. However, the choice to play Scorched Earth does allow him to draw those extra cards to perhaps hit the combos that he has, like his double puzzles. However, really sold him short there on not being able to get many basic Pokemon out.
But I think the Scorched Earth works way better with
with his
strategy.
particular list, I think that Patrik was just unlucky there. He didn't seem to draw anywhere near as well as he did in the first game, and Filipp seemed to set up his Zoroarks quite nicely, being able to work his tempo out and draw into the game quite quickly. Hopefully we'll see a interesting game 3 here, where we'll see a exciting final match of the day.
Yeah, and it's very nice. We have still around 25 minutes left, so this should definitely be enough for this very matchup to end.
Yeah, there's plenty of time remaining. I don't think this game will end in a draw realistically.
No.
Both players have the speed and the ability to be able to end this game in a win. And a draw doesn't do any of these players any good either way.
It's a tie and die again.
Yeah, so it's a case of both players here are going to be looking for the win, and they're going to have to play as fast as they need to in order to get there. Patrik almost forgot again about the prize cam, but he's redeemed it. He's put him out.
Yeah, it's good. During the whole day, almost no one forgot.
Almost no one, but there we go. So we do see Patrik with a Lele in his hand straight away.
Starting
and
with
an
two
elixir.
sneezers. Well, Filipp is starting with two sneezers, which is interesting, but again prevents him from a first attack knockout with Buzzwole.
Yeah, I think obviously seeing the Tapu Lele in hand as well, I think Patrik might opt to play Bridget here, simply because then he can get out more Buzzwole, not allowing the same thing that happened last game to happen again.
Patrik is not playing any Bridgets.
Oh, he's not playing any Bridget. Okay.
He's not playing Bridget.
However, he has got access to both Sycamore and Cynthia, which both are equally as good in this deck realistically. He has, however, got a lot of fighting energy in hand, so perhaps that Cynthia being the better option here.
He could also go for Skyla and Ultra Ball, but I wouldn't really, well, see that. Oh, he plays one Nest Ball, so that's something he's, he put the Nest Ball in front, but decided to go for Sycamore.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to Skyla for that Nest Ball there. I think as long as another Buzzwole ends up on the board at the end of this turn, I think he's fine. He just doesn't want the same thing to happen as last game, where he just doesn't hit anything, and then he does have to Sycamore away that Elixir and all of those energy.
But he drew into Scorched Earth, into Buzzwole, into Strong Energies, no supporter cards.
And he draws back
Max
into
Elixir.
the Max Elixir. Again, this deck really showing off what it does, and he actually misses it. That's the most shocked I've been all day, to be honest with you.
But he has a lot of energies in his hand. He discarded two. One is already on his active Pokemon, so yeah.
Again, though, seeing that Elixir still, it shows off the inherent strength of how this deck was built. Obviously, it's designed to hit those Elixirs as often as possible, and we definitely have seen that over the two games. But just being able to discard one and then instantly draw one back, that seems to make the deck look pretty good.
It does. But let's see how Filipp is going to deal this game. He has two Sneasels. It's interesting to see that he benched both Sneasels, actually. I'm not so sure if I would have done that, because Weavile is not the best attacker, because, well, Patrik does not play a lot of Pokemon with abilities, and yeah. Oh, and if we look at Filipp's prices, we can see that Mew EX is priced.
Oh yeah, okay, looking at that, yeah, Mew EX is prized, so that is already a really tough prize for Filipp to get around.
Yeah.
If he does draw his prizes in the way as suggested on our prize cam, then he will draw into it at some point early in the game. However, looking over to Patrik's side of the board, all three of his Skylar are prized.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's why he did not get the Nest Ball.
Yeah, all three of them being prized is pretty insane. Obviously, when you play three of a single card,
look,
you
all
often
his
don't
prize
expect
cards
it.
are supporters.
Wow. Yeah, we've got a Guzma, Cynthia, and he only plays one Cynthia, so that's obviously why he ended up Sycamoring there. Definitely not what you want to see.
But that does also mean that he can play way more aggressive, because he knows if he's taking prize cards, he's going to draw supporters.
Yeah, I think, well, there we go. We see the Guzma come down, which is definitely the right play here. Filipp has tried to set up his Zoroark with a Dark Energy, hoping to pull off that Trickster GX attack again. However, the Buzzwole has pulled it up into the active, and it is going to knock it out. And I would imagine he's going to place 30 damage, either on a Tapu Lele or one of the other Zoroark, being able to take a 2-price turn the turn after by knocking out 2 Zoroark, or being able to knock out a Tapu Lele without having to attach a Strong Energy or Choice Band.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that he discarded a Puzzle of Time and a Strong Energy with an Ultra Ball. Usually those are not really cards you want to see, but he decided that having the Oranguru, which is what he got from the Ultra Ball, I think all the Mew are just more important.
Yeah, I think he's in a position now where he knows that he's probably got an upper hand, especially because Filipp's board is completely filled with dark Pokemon. He doesn't know that the Mew EX is prized yet, but he's most probably going to find out pretty soon when Filipp doesn't respond, which means that some of these aggressive plays will actually pay off more for him, as they're going to move him forward in the game, and then as soon as he finds out that the Mew's actually prized, he's able to pull ahead even more, and he's not going to be punished for overextending or playing very aggressively.
And we see a Zoroark from an Ultra Surge. Well, he is evolving the active Zorua, and we see a Mallow. He will then probably continue and play trade to get these cards straight into his hand.
Yeah, once again, I think that last time we saw Filipp go for the Mew off this, but he now knows that Mew is prized. So we're probably going to see that Zoroark GX drawn off this, and perhaps a Dark Energy again. We actually saw a Sycamore there by the looks of things.
It is always not the best thing if you have to use a supporter to get another supporter. I remember times where Sycamore and N were the only draw support you really had, so you used Skylight to get Sycamore. It always hurt.
Yeah, Filipp only down to one card in hand, which will be that Sycamore. So actually that Mallow is quite smart, allowing him to get that DCE, do some damage this turn, but also giving him a draw supporter for next turn with a completely clean hand.
Yeah, Sycamoring with 0 cards is always really nice, obviously. But let's see what Patrick's going to do. He has a strong energy in hand.
He also has the Skylar that he drew off prizes, so it'll be interesting to see whether that comes down. No, but he does play the Guzma. I imagine to bring up a Zorua. Yeah, as probably imaginable, and he will take a very easy knockout here, as well as putting 30 more damage on another Zoroark, I would imagine.
It looks like he's putting it on a Sneasel, maybe, but I think he's going to put it on a Zoroark. That would mean with he's dealing 30 damage plus 20 times 2, which is 100 damage. With Choice Band, it would be 160. So if he had 30 more damage on Zoroark, he could KO it with...
so he does put it onto the Zoroark. I think that was definitely the right play. It allows him now to take those prizes on Zoroark a lot easier. As well as that, Mew, Zoroark has resistance against Mew, so it does mean that if Filipp is able to swing this in his direction, by getting rid of one of these Buzzwoles, Mew can actually come in then and take a knockout without any worries.
Yeah. That's also something you should keep in mind. We see Filipp promoting his Tapu Lele GX. These Buzzwoles, they need 3 energies, which in the current meta game is quite a lot. But Energy Drive, however, is not taking weaknesses or resistance in account.
Yeah.
So it does not hit Buzzwole GX for weakness.
So we saw Filipp actually draw that Sudowoodo there. If Patrik could actually use Knuckle Impact last turn, that Sudowoodo play could actually be relevant, as we said previously. However, I don't think he has any way to retreat the Tapu Lele.
No.
And obviously Knuckle Impact wasn't used last turn, so we wouldn't be able to do that. But now that he does have access to it, it is a play he's able to hold his options for later in the game.
Yeah, it's also very smart that Patrik prepared himself for a potential Jet Punch knockout if he has Choice Band and Strong Energy on one of his Buzzwoles. So that also means that Filipp could not use Watch and Learn for the Knuckle Impact.
And we do see the Watch and Learn Sudowoodo hit the board. Obviously, just by having that there, that's threatening Patrik a little bit by just saying, if you're not careful about the timing of your Knuckle Impact, I will be able to do it back to you. But that's just the inherent strength of Sudowoodo. I think it almost allows you to get revenge. Oh, you want to take prizes? Well, I'm going to take 2 back. So it's just a case now of whether Filipp can hit his counter energy, whether it be this turn or next turn. Because if this Lele is left in the active,
colorless energy, he is going to attack.
He is going to attack, doing an 80 damage. However, I would imagine that if Patrik's able to hit one of his several energy, he's going to be able to take a knockout on this Lele very easily. He still has a Buzzwole on bench.
Yeah.
He only needs a slight amount to do that, and they've just done the easy thing and just switched the damage around there. Oh, wait.
Why did they switch the damage, though? Why did they switch the damage?
I'm not sure.
Well, 80 damage, anyhow. Oh, because they are using the same... They want to use the same dices.
Oh, right, yeah. I was about to say, I thought they... Like, Lele doesn't do bench damage, does he? So we do see the Skylar come down. I imagine he'll probably want to grab either, a puzzle or max elixir here.
Yeah.
These puzzles...
Yeah, he could use a double puzzle and then get Guzma and either strong energy or choice band.
He has the energy and choice band in hand, so he's got a lot of options here on what he could puzzle for. By having those cards in hand, he can grab some extra treats perhaps from his discard pile, allowing him to advance his board state further.
But it looks like we're going to see a knuckle impact for 180, which is enough to knock out Tapu Lele.
It is indeed. One of the arguments to this day about Tapu Lele is it's an absolutely great Pokemon, great ability, fantastic attack. However, 170 is on the smaller side of a lot of the GXs we have in the format today. So once they go onto your bench, you do have that stipulation and that downside of it giving up 2 easy prizes at some point in your game, which is why so many times today we've seen the Parallel City players getting them off your board as they're always a threat to beat Guzma at some point in the game.
Yeah, you really have to watch after your Tapu Lele. But also after your Mew X.
I'd say even more so after your Mew EX. And we do see both the elixirs come down here off the puzzle, and he hits both. No surprise there. And I think by hitting that and having 2 charged up Buzzwoles, I think that's pretty much game here.
It should be.
He's able to take a knockout here on the Tapu Lele. I'm pretty sure he's got a supporter in hand as well.
Yeah, I think he still has a Guzma in his hand. He should also draw into some energies, and he uses the GX attack.
Yeah, so even if he didn't have Guzma in hand, he just drew it off the prizes as well, meaning that he's definitely able to knock out that Zoroark next turn if it sits on the bench there. So I think we might see a win here for Buzzwole. However, it'll be interesting to see how Filipp reacts to that, if there is any way possible for him to react.
Yeah, he also knows that Sudowoodo has no energies attached to it already, so having a watch and learn here is quite unlikely. And even if Filipp is able to get his counter energy and use watch and learn, well, it doesn't really bother Patrik a lot.
No, obviously by hitting those 2 elixirs off that double puzzle, he's now got a second Buzzwole set up. Perhaps if he did only still have the 1 energy, that counter energy play would be a lot more effective. However, due to that not really being a problem, Patrik could then just come in with that Buzzwole. Guzma bounce off the Mii's free retreat and obviously take the final knockout on that Zoroark GX.
Yeah, we see Patrik evolving his Weavile into Sneasel, and now he's considering to retreat it immediately, which he does.
And we do see the Sudowoodo come into the active. However, I didn't see a counter energy in his hand. No, he's left the Weavile there.
I think he's just making sure to leave no 2 prize
cards. Oh, no, the counter
to...
energy is in hand.
Oh.
I think he's just debating on whether it's the right play. He has it promoted it. We'd see the counter energy come down, and he ends. So that was the only way here that he was able to survive that turn. Obviously, if Patrik draws pretty nice cards such as Guzma, then obviously Filipp is going to be left short there and Patrik will take the win. However, ending Patrik down to 2 cards with no real draw support there apart from Oranguru being able to get him.
He has Oranguru and Scorched Earth, but still, it's nothing compared to Zoroark's trades or maybe Octillery.
And Patrik takes a quick glance at his hand and puts it back down. From the way he bent it up, I thought I saw a fighting energy there. So perhaps we'll see the Scorched Earth come into play if the second card isn't in fact Guzma. So And the interesting thing here will be, so Filipp's actually drawn Mew off his prizes now as well. So, and he's drawn into 3 fighting energy. So,
Wow.
it's actually a position now to where Patrik could find that, with the Mew there, he
Okay.
might struggle now to continue his play going, as he's just got energy in his hand. He's got another Scorched Earth in hand. There's not too much going on for him here. He has attached to the Buzzwole. That's got 1 energy on her as well. I think here his only option is to really retreat Mew and just knock out that Sudowoodo, taking him down to 1 prize, which allows him then to take a knockout on anything. It means that he can come in with Jet Punch. He has a strong energy in hand, and he can use Jet Punch on that Sneasel or Weavile for the last 1 prize.
Yeah, but what he did now is what I like a little bit more. He's leaving the damaged and powered up Buzzwole on the bench to prevent it from getting KO'd, and he can put some more damage. Well, maybe it would have been a bit better to put the damage on the other Zoroark GX, but he is at the point where Guzma wins him the game anyway, so...
And the Scorched Earth is discarded. Obviously, Filipp doesn't know that Patrik has another Scorched Earth in hand. However, if he didn't, that could be big trouble for Patrik there. Only having 2 fighting and 1 strong in hand could be pretty detrimental.
Yeah, that's the dangerous side of playing that many energies. You could end up only drawing into them.
And we see the Tapu Lele for... Oh, wait, no, he didn't. He didn't grab the Guzma. He flashed it, but... Oh, no, he did. Okay, he put it in hand. I was about to say, it didn't look like he put it in hand then. I was really worried. So he does grab the Guzma. I think here we'll probably see the Buzzwole on the bench, Guzma back out into the active, and Zoroark taking...
But that would lose him the game,
that'll lose him
wouldn't
the
it?
game, yeah. I don't really know what he's expecting to do here. He could counter energy again, however, was there even an attack used last turn?
Yeah, a Jet Punch was used, but... Yeah. Let's see if he has energies in his hand, but it does not really look like it. Or am I missing something?
Oh, the Weavile is actually able to take a knockout here. It's 100 damage.
True.
Being able to do that. That obviously makes sense now. However, this is what I was talking about. If he did actually knock out that Sudowoodo last turn, that Weavile could be his last prize. And it wouldn't be an open door for Filipp to actually come in and do that. It means that then he would be sort of forced to have to try and take a knockout on the Buzzwole without a Dark-type Pokemon. But I think that even with the knockout here, Patrik can just come back in. He has a strong energy in hand, which means he can definitely knock out the Weavile next turn. And there is both a damaged Sudowoodo and a damaged Zoroark on his bench.
And now we see
Patrik,
Filipp drawing another 2 prizes.
And he hits an Elixir off the top deck. Will he hit it though? It's very crucial. And he misses
won't.
it. That could be really, really, really bad for Patrik. Obviously, if he was able to hit that, he could have then, again, hoped for the Guzma play, being able to knock out anything on Filipp's side of the board. However, he does miss it. We just see the strong energy drop here.
A Guzma will win him the game.
Yeah, I imagine we'll just simply see here, unless he draws... Okay, so he draws Sycamore here.
Well, if he is going to survive the next turn, so if he draws the Guzma from the Sycamore and Filipp can't respond with an N.
So we do see the Guzma drawn into hand there by Patrik. If I was him, I would use his cards like his Ultra Balls and stuff like that now, thinning his deck slightly more, so where if Filipp does end him, he has actually got more chance of drawing that Guzma naturally off that.
Yeah, he drew a Choice Band. If I were him, I would definitely attach it. But let's see.
Yeah, as I said, he's definitely going to come in here. Jet Punch and putting the 30 damage on that Zoroark, I would imagine, on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, on the
Tapu
Lele.
Lele.
I think either's fine. The Tapu Lele, obviously, he does have a strong energy attached to it. It doesn't really matter. He'd be able to knock out the Tapu Lele anyway with his Knuckle Impact attack. However, Filipp does Mallow here, and it could actually be for the Mew and the DCE.
It could be. Oh, this is intense.
And he could have swung this right back in his way.
Mew.
And it is,
It is.
it's the double. Yeah, and
Wow.
the Mew, the DCE, and it's game.
Wow.
Filipp was able to pull that
I
back.
really haven't seen that coming.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic there. Being able to draw that Mallow off the top, that was really great for Filipp.
Wow.
At the start, we thought there was absolutely no chance for him
Yeah.
in this matchup. However, he's come off, and that Mew has really paid off for him there, once again showing that it is the ultimate Buzzwole hunter.
It was really, those late game ends, they can really
Yeah, they
kill
can.
you. And wow, that was an intense last round. After
was
the
really
first
good.
game, I thought like, well, okay, this is going to be
Yeah,
well,
a pretty quick matchup.
yeah.
Obviously, with game 1 ending in just 10 minutes, we saw game 2 then.